All right, here's some speed tips for the guys in the forum. We use the Microjet version 3 motor. It's lighter, it's less weight, it's less power, it's less, thrust, but it's a lot less battery weight, motor weight you got to take, so it kind of makes up for it. Kinda. I mean, but then you still want more power. You jump all the way to the Megajet motor. That thing's more of a 480 size motor. It's quite a bit bigger, heavier, and a lot faster. In fact, the limiting factor at that point is not going to be the motor. It's going to be the aerodynamics of the plane. Meaning, if you had a very sleek airfoil plane, a smaller plane with that motor, you can probably get up to 100 miles an hour. Not on these foamies because they're so big and so draggy. So that moves on to the next thing. You put that Megajet motor on there. You can have to cut the foam a little bit to get it to fit. Then you got to add some extra carbon. Probably in the horizontal stabilizers, the elevators, the vertical stabilizers, maybe the wing. I mean, it all depends on what kind of foam you built it with, what kind of carbon you have in, the glue, all that kind of stuff. So if you're flying the plane and it starts to lock up, like it's not responding or not turning, slow the throttle back down. It should come back to life. Another thing too is your servo leverage. And there's a couple different angles you got to look at here. First is having the push rods on your control horns and your clevises and all that set up to where you're getting maximum torque and minimal movement throw. So you're moving the hole on the servo horn, you're moving on the inside. But then also where your control horns are, I generally like to have the whole of the control horn right over the top of the hinge line. So if you have that control horn either farther or inside from that hinge line, it can greatly affect your throw and therefore more or less leverage. I'm probably losing everybody at this point. Also, think about with your aileron, if you've got your push rods or your ailerons all on the inside, because you're tucking everything in to keep it all nice and neat, that once that plane gets going fast, you have all this wind trying to blow that aileron back down and your servo is way off to one side like that. That can kind of cause a weird pinch and torque on the servo, and sometimes it'll lock up or it doesn't like that. So sometimes what you'll have to do is literally move the servo to the middle of the wing, and now it looks terrible, but it's giving the servo more fair of a leverage angle there. And then also, I don't know why we got to tell guys to do this, bevel the front of that wing. Like, why can't I get my plane to go faster? Put an airfoil on it. The KF airfoil number 4, where you got the one on the top and the bottom, that's going to be the most fastest by far. And the KF airfoil 2, that's just one on the top. That's the one you always see us use. That's the balance I always like. It's not quite as fast as the 4, but it's quite a bit faster than not having an airfoil at all. You're going to have to do more work with the carbon and the strength and the servo angles and the motor because the plane just doesn't want to fly above 45 miles an hour, but you do, and you're forcing it to do it. So that's the kind of workload you got to look at. But, it's really not that bad.